And people start to treat you as God. And that is also can deviate from the truth. So Insan al-Kamil is the integrated self. And he strive, is a continuous strive. CG, for example, I watched him closely, and many times he, would take our suggestion. Many times, one time I had that experience with him, which he forgot something, and later I was too shy to tell him, to correct him. So later, when it was revealed that, he did that kind of mistake, unintentional minor mistake, but it still is a mistake that will affect things. So he came to me and he said, "Why you didn't tell me?" I said, "CJ, I was shy, you're like my father, my guide." He's like, "No, I want you, even if I am your father, because I am your father, you can tell me. So I'm sorry that I forgot that." He is willing to apologize. He's willing to take our suggestion, to listen. So we sometimes want to idealize people also, so we have to be careful. That does not mean we revere him, we respect him, we learn from him, we're grateful, but Allah is always Allah, We have to understand what he's trying to say. He's trying to say, be an integrated self. That's what he's trying to tell us. Free yourself from this. That's what he's trying to tell us. So the content self, the intellect, its goal is to consider itself, consider the rationality, but also move beyond it to have the mystical, that which is not known and cannot be grasped and described rationally. It might come later that you could, but even when you try to put it in words, such as the Sufis and the teacher, the wise from all culture, who try to describe it, words are limited. So people misunderstand them. Many times we misunderstand them. So, but there is this that cannot be put in words, that we want to experience. That's the existential experience that we want to reach. So it has to be liberated also to accept what is beyond its limitation, because it is limited. It has to experience the mystical, the infinite. So that is, but it does that with a little sense of security, because you had experienced that when you are with Allah, turning fully the heart to Allah, then things start to make sense, you start to get guidance, you start to get knowledge. So there is a security also, an awareness, because you have expanded your perception, as we talked to, that Allah is the infinite, and you should not rely on finite things. You can only rely on the infinite. Yes.
That always reminds me with the very first verses of Al-Baqarah. ذلك كتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين الذين يؤمنون بالغيب.
يؤمنون بالغيب.
This is always very important when you have this people who are trying to approach religion with only the rationale, and they are Muslims, but when things defy their own rationale, they would
reject it.
Exactly, and I always tend to remind them that the first page, this is what it says: الذين يؤمنون بالغيب. Those who believe in, how would you translate it?
Al-Ghaib is very difficult. They say the unseen, but I translated it in one sentence. It's that which is absent from immediate recognition. That it can be actually even here, but it is absent. Like what is behind this wall, I can see now. It could be a bird there. It comes to essential level. It has its other levels too. But it simply means that which is absent from immediate recognition. Sometimes it is said, the unseen, So, definitely, if we try to only rationalize things, we can. So we have to go with our whole being towards Allah. You see, CG always would say in his dua, Allahumma inni atawajjahu ilayk. Oh Allah, I direct my whole being towards you. I direct myself wholeheartedly towards you. So this is how it should be. You cannot just try to figure out rational without seeking Allah help. And that way you are open, you are liberating your intellect to experience the mystical, that which is absent from immediate recognition. Yes?
This is a dumb question, but like you mentioned, seeking the greater self. Some people meditate and look inside. So is the greater self, would you just look inside or would you look outside or both places? Or?
We're giving both places. The greater self, I don't know if I use this term, but to the authentic self, which is a spirit from Allah, which is greater, of course, than the ego, the limited self that is limited by what we talked about here. So you have to look both inwardly and outwardly. And that is the Quran says that. Look within yourself to see the signs of Allah and look outwardly to see the signs of Allah. So for example, we talked about inwardly. If I lie, swiftly I have a subtle sense of guilt. I have done wrong. We have this compass inside us until we cover it up. But immediately if we read this sign, and rather than coming to self-defense and keep denying that I lied, you see it in a child. First time lying, you can see it in their faces, innocent faces, because they are still pure, but they are afraid. So they need that assurance that it's okay to admit the mistake. It's better to say the truth and to can rectify it and can be forgiving and test that sweetness. So when the mother, rather than punishing the child, we have to approach them with this encouragement to admit the truth. Then they can learn to rectify it from young age and then give them the love and forgiveness. That's very important to establish in young age, but sometimes we don't, because the parents are, in their own words, they don't know. So we need to forgive them too. So you need to look inwardly for these subtle signs, such as the feeling, guilt, shame, anger, satisfaction, and to see where it's coming from. And then you have to look outwardly also of the consequences around you for your action. First, you look at the physical nature and you can contemplate it, to see the signs of the Creator, to see the trace of the Creator, to see Allah's beautiful qualities manifesting through it. So you look outwardly, and you look outwardly also to the consequences of your action. You can be very subtle. You can say just a harsh word to someone, and their face right away, gloom, their face right away will tell you if you pay attention enough. If you are in a rush and you don't care and you are unconscious and self-absorbed, then you may say a harsh word and walk away, ignoring or neglecting to look at its effect. But if you looked at its effect, even if you didn't mean intentionally to hurt the person, then maybe you can rectify that. Maybe you can be careful next time. So you have to look outwardly for the consequences of your actions. You have to look inwardly for the signs of Allah and to be in this vigilant state of consciousness. Of course, we will fall hitless. It's part of our fate as a human being. But that is again the beauty of learning from our mistakes and turning to experience the test of tawbah, the test of repentance, of redemption, and of forgiveness. So you should look both ways. So the intellect, and then this is a nafs al-mutma'inna, the content or secured self, and after that, nafs al-radiyah. And nafs al-radiyah, you can call it is the universal soul.
What was the word?
Al-radiyah means the accepting, the accepting self. accepting and has a sense also of contentment. Even if it is not totally pleased yet, you know. Sometimes it's translated as pleased, but I think al-mardiya has the sense of pleased. So this, when you start to actually verify this, what we call beliefs, in an existential experience, in almost this experience that we all feel when we connect to Allah and start to experience the divine presence, start to witness Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And witnessing starts here. Mushahada in Sufism, witnessing. You see, those involves sensation, feeling, and reason or intellect. This is when the imagination starts to happen, to open. First of all, we all have imagination. We all use our imagination. We use our imagination to fantasize, which is a good tool of mercy from Allah, because this induced, it helps us deal with the stress and the deprivation we feel. It has its good level, you know, unless we don't fantasize to hurt people or to do vicious things, you know. And so it has its good use. You can also use it, that is to release feeling. And that's what happened in dreams. Dreams, according to psychology and to our experiences also, it releases your suppressed fears, suppressed desires, suppressed emotions. It gets released in these dreams. So it has that relief. That's why sleep is a blessing from Allah. Sleep is a minor death. Sleep is a blessing and a gift from Allah. It puts not only the body to rest, but the soul also. The mind go crazy all day, then it put to rest. And this emotion get released, these thoughts get released in dreams. And we talked about different type of dreams. But this something then will start to open beyond that. So we use actually also the imagination with the intellect to find solutions, creative solutions, such as scientists use this imagination. So for example, I watched that TED Talk, fascinating, about a scientist who want to help the blind people see. So they found out if they bring the blind people and put an object behind a camera like this, like a flower, let us say, then connect that camera to transform the photo, what you call it, spectrum, to transform it to an electric vibration. That electric vibration goes here to the spine or to the back and do vibration, translated the electric, which is the image, to vibration. That's actually the mechanism of what our eye works. And it reaches the brain. Eventually, with training, they found, subhanAllah, that's a gift from Allah. Nobody knows how. But the visualized center in the brain starts to work. For people who have previous vision before they became blind, they see the flower in black and white so far. But they see a vague picture, they recognize it's a flower. Maybe not perfect seeing, but how wonderful that will help. That amazed the scientists, perplexed them, because we always thought the eyes is that to see. But it is not the eyes, it is something inside you that see. It's your soul that see. It is your soul, this vibration, you know. So what happened is that they started to say, it's the touch. It's the touch that now, think about it, it's the touch of the light to your eyes and transformed to vision. Now it's a touch to your back, transferred to the vision. Now they tried it with the tongue. They put the vibration on the tongue. The person was able to see the flower. This is fascinating, because this is the five sensations, the five senses that we know. You can see by touch and hear by vision and smell by, you know, those are just what we habitually thought we can rely on, that this is actually what is happening. It's fascinating. The reason I'm mentioning it, because this is, you open then something mystical, you can put words on it. open on that imagination or that realm, the spiritual realm of vibration, the malakut we call it, starts to open when you start to do your zikr, connect to Allah in a deep way, and He gifts these gifts every now and then. He opens your imagination during wakeful state, and you start to witness visions that comes to you, not induced, because like when it is induced, I'm sitting whether in meditation or whether in fantasizing on the beach shore, and I am visualizing things that makes me feel good. This is not the same. There is a subtle difference here, because this is not induced. Sometimes they say, yeah, you sit in meditation. Many people, New Age and psychologists, which has a good use. I'm just saying there is something beyond it. So there is the induced visualization, we call it in psychology, but there is something beyond it. Yes, if you sit still, some images may start to come, like dreams, but there is something beyond it. What is beyond it is that something, unexpectedly become almost sensual, almost real. And C.G. how to distinguish between both in one of his books, maybe The Reality of Imagination, how to distinguish, because it's a very subtle fine line. You may start to do things from your image, and that's why they say you have a guide and you ask them about what you see. Many people come to C.G. during Khalwa, C.G. I saw this, I saw that. Dismiss it, destroy the picture. It's all picture. No, he most of the time he says no, because this is what comes like a dream. But what comes as a vision from Allah, a ru'ya, which can happen in a sleep, or it can happen in wakeful state, not that often, but it happens. Then you have a sudden light, inspiration that's thrown in you, and yes, the image then becomes more sensual, but the image starts to also have the meaning behind it. Because you can see many images and you don't understand. You can see many dreams and you don't understand. And that's why C.G. said, when I asked him once, how can I know? What should I do? He said, continue to say the name Allah, Allah, Allah. And some people say, ask Allah. If it is this vision from you, confirm it and make it really clear. If it is from shaitan or from my own self, take it away. And C.D. said, if you say Allah, 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 if it is an illusion or fantasy or induced things from the subconscious mind, then it will shatter away, it will go away without meaning or anything. If it is from Allah, then when you continuously be with Allah, your heart present, and you say Allah protect